What's going on, traders? It's Mighty Boy back at you again with another trading recap video. Today's trading session was very slow and sluggish for me, and I made very questionable mistakes, which are also a little bit entertaining to me. Basically, today, as you guys can see, I am up almost $700. Even though I was up $700, I left a lot of money on the table. A lot of money. I mean, I would have been up, $5,000–6,000 today. And the reason for that is I have no idea why, but I was taking profits way too early. I mean, I short the top, the entry points were great, but I was taking it at the top, and I was completely doing the opposite of what I generally do. So what I generally do is I would have risk levels, right? So stock goes parabolic or whatever, there's a resistance level, I would short there, and then I would have a profit target and a risk target. And what I would do is I'll sit back once I enter the position and I'll wait for those key levels to get touched. Either it comes to my profit level or it goes into my risk area, right? Unless I see it, setting up a trap for the short traps or something like that, I wouldn't touch it. I'll put my feet up on the table, I'll watch a movie or whatever, and I'll only react when those levels are touched. But today, it was pretty crazy. I mean, it blew my mind what I did. Anyway, let's get into it and let's see which stocks that I traded. All right, so the first one that I got into was DGE. So this one here was out of the gate. I had located about, I think, 1,200 shares for this one, but I only traded it about 100 shares. I know, it's mind blowing. Anyway, I got into here, which was a great entry. Now this rejected the highs. With my data that I collected for the gap and crap strategy, which I'll be doing a video about this weekend, this is literally step by step. The stock did exactly what my data predicts. And I showed it there, and guess what I got out? I got out right there. I mean, I left a lot of money on the table right here. I mean, a lot of money. Look at that. I mean, I showed it there and I got out there. Very questionable. This is a newbie beginner, the first day trading kind of mistakes. When you see the money, oh my God, I'm up, and you take it kind of thing. I left a lot of money on the table, and then, pretty much that's locates, what I paid for locates, really. So that was the start of it, and I'm thinking, what's wrong with me, right? The second one that I traded was DO, which is it. Right, so DOGZ, what happened with this one is it was short tail restricted, as you guys can see right here. So I was patiently waiting for this pre-market high to come there, right? I didn't want to have it started early or anything like that, so I waited for all of this. But also, if you guys have seen yesterday's trading video, there's a strategy where something goes up, pulls back, and it holds a certain level. Before market open, it dips down to that. You can buy this, risking that. So your risk level is pretty tight. And, take profit pre-market high. And I know chat rooms are pushing this as well. Anyway, so I had a starter there, and I added right there. And I was in full size 300 shares, right? And as I cracked down here, I took some for this view up support. Because usually they do bounce from the view up. So I took a little bit of profit right there. Now I'm holding only 300 shares. Now, this thing, so my data with, gap and crops usually says 20% above the pre-market high or the highs, because sometimes what they do is manipulators in a normal trading day. I mean, if you guys have seen some of the stocks that were traded yesterday, they come up like this, they picked over the highs and they flashed out. Even this one right here, right? So you got to give it if you're one of those people, short seller, and you short all of this area, and as soon as it breaks from around, you get out, then you get faked out into this kind of moves, right? So you got to give it that range. But the one thing that I did was I took some here, which was pretty great, and it came back up. For this break, I sized down a little bit, all right? So now I'm only holding 100 shares, and I re-added everything right there, all right? So I was 600 shares, I took 300 here, and I took 150 for a small loss, and then I added everything up here, right? Generally, and this massive crack right here was an indication of put in the backside. So generally speaking, what I would do is I would even come after this crack happened, because this is a sign of the backside. So I would short this area, and I would use that as a risk level to play off of, right? Because now it's setting a tone. What I'm thinking, you have to think what longs would think. Long traders, they'll be very iffy to long it here, right? They would, but they wouldn't go as aggressive as they would have gone as this is breaking out. And I know chat room, especially I know Ross and all that, they were pushing this, and they got they got dumped on to this move, right? I mean, each candle was $2 million shares, almost 2 million volume right there. So, but what did I do? I took everything out here. I took everything out here completely, and I left a lot of money on the table here. A lot of money on the table here. I mean, I shorted the top and I took it at the top. Usually what I would do is, once I short here, my average was somewhere down here. What I would do, my average was, what was my average? Yep, 312 was my average. Somewhere down here, right there, right at the high. Oh, just above the highs was my average. So what I would do is I'll sit back and I'll let the stock do whatever it does, especially in a stock like this, because I know majority of the time they wash out. That's what my data suggests, right? So the morning low would be somewhere here, and the afternoon low would be near the close or 2 in the afternoon, right? So what I would do is I'll set my risk right here, and I'll wait and let the stock do, let it work for me, right? Into this, into this push, I probably would add, or I wouldn't react to it. So I wouldn't react unless it comes to that level, and where I probably would have said, take profit here for the morning and take profit here for the afternoon. I didn't do that. So I left a lot of money on here. I only made, what, $150 on it, pretty much, right? $150 on it. I left another, $500–600 on this trade. All right, so the next one that I'm thinking, what the hell is going on right now, right? The next one that I traded was KXIN. Now, KXIN, what happened was, similar thing happened. Now, this was a beautiful, beautiful short, right? One of the guys actually from the chat room in Discord, this is what he looks for. He looks for stocks that are, broken down. KXIN, if you look at this, KXIN, if you guys look at this, the 30-day, this day here, this day here, this day here, it has a massive move from, from the low, ones all the way to $13, and it soaked up a lot of volume into this, right? This day was traded 250 million shares, right? So there's a lot of people who bought into this that are not out yet, a lot of bag holders. So when this thing pops, every time it pops from this area, as you can see, there's two lines, it rejects, right? So that was the idea that I wanted to go for, and I had 1,200 shares from this as well. So I shorted there, the highs. I waited above 6, and I wanted to add all the way to to between the two lines, right? All the way up to somewhere here, but 7. This is the area that I wanted to play. Obviously, you need to have a larger risk level, hoping for a better average, knowing that eventually this would wash out, right? So this is what happened. I showed it that. I think I didn't use the whole. I think I used only 300 shares or something like that. Anyway, so what happened was, as you guys pretty much can see here, I shorted 600 shares there, and I covered right here. Pretty much shorted the highs, and I covered the highs, right? Which is funny, because usually, again, if I shorted here, I would have had my stop loss right there, right? I wouldn't put the stop loss, but that would be my ideal stop point, or start recycling shares, and I'll let the stock do what it does, and I would have covered into this washouts, right? This ones were ads. That's what I should have done, right? But I didn't do that. So I left a lot of money on the table here as well. I mean, that was what was my average? My average was, the first one was $5.90. $6 were my average right here. This was my average right there. I had about 600 shares. This thing washed out to $4.80. So I left about $600 right there, right? And then I got back in a second time again to make $11, which is unbelievable. I am a little bit disturbed, to say the least. SNES. All right, here we go again. This is crazy. This one here, the same thing. I had a beautiful short right at the top, rejection. I shorted the top, perfect short, and then I took a little bit here. I took probably half. I'm pretty sure. I think I was in 1,200 shares as well. I took half of it already there, and then I took the last. I think maybe 600 shares in this one. I'm not sure. 600 shares, I think. So I took the last one that I had was here at 2. I mean, from here, what was my average? The average was at 310. 310 was my average, right? With 600 shares, this is right now is right here. That's another $600 that I left on the table, and I made only $66 on it. So I left 10 times on the table. Even if when you look at the chart here, I shorted the top and I took the top. I usually don't do that. So this thing, again, that was a perfect short because I got the top, like the tippy top. And what I should have done was set the risk right there, let it do what it does, let it bank up. Put your feet up on the table, open a movie, go online shopping, do whatever you have to do. But wait for those key levels to get touched. Technically, my first profit taking would be somewhere here into that right there. And then I probably would let the rest wash out. That was another one. All right, let's see the next one. This one is VBXV. All right, so what happened with this thing? All right. So what happened with this thing? This thing was traded around $40, and bad news came out. I think their COVID trial failed, and it opened at $4, right? And the first thing, it was almost a guarantee long play, right? Long play, because you know short tailers that are from the up, as soon as this gets out of hold, they're gonna cover. And some longs might panic out, but other longs would be adding, thinking it's gonna bounce as well, right? So I had a beautiful start. My average, I got it. This thing went all the way to $8, right? This thing went all the way to almost $9. But my average, my first entry point was, as you guys can see right here, it was at $4.80, and I took it for a $49 gain at $5, which was ridiculous. It was 300 shares, it wasn't nothing more. And then I got back in again here, which was really good because it went into upside hold. It got rejected, right? Went into upside hold, rejected. And when it popped for the break of that, I bought it, thinking it was going to go higher, which it did, because that's a short strength. Out of the hole to dips and rips. So that dip is a buy, right? And the risk level, this would have been at $4, right? Or somewhere here. But I bought the breakout and I sold the breakout itself for a $63 profit, which is really laughable, honestly. And I think I was in maybe 600 shares, I'm not sure. Or something. I probably took it for 10 cents, 20 cents, something like that. So yeah, so I think I was in 300 shares. Yeah, I was in 300 shares. So at this point, I'm thinking, and then I shorted it here, right? I shorted it here, which makes sense because it went into a downside hole. It looked like the backside. When I was wrong about this being a backside, I took it right there. That was the last one. I took it right there. And I didn't wait for that rejection to short into this things for the backside, right? And I lost 131 on it. Other people were making, $5,000, $6,000 out of that. Me, just nothing. Today was just a bizarre day. I traded, as you guys can see, a lot more. The next one that I traded, MRIN. MRIN was same thing. I made about $15 on it. Nothing. CMPS. Let's look at CMPS. CMPS, the same thing. So on this trade, as you guys can see, I had a starter there, right? 100 shares. I had a starter there because it went parabolic. I saw the weakness. I had a starter there and I covered it right there at the bottom. Great cover. And I had a starter there thinking it would fail. Risk was at the highs. But rather than cutting, I added, because I was only on 100 shares, and I already, on the first trade already, I had, $85. Almost, I made 85 cents profit per share on the first drop, so I could risk $1 plus, right? So I added into that. Now I'm holding 200 shares. And now so my maximum size on this thing was about 400 or 500 shares for a stock around $40 for the account size that I have, because I'm still doing the small account challenge, right? So, I added another 100 shares, and I wanted to recycle, so I took half there, which was a mistake because I took it right on top. So, but the way you recycle, here's a lesson for you guys. The way you recycle is, so I had 100 shares, I added, now I have 200 shares. Now I took the 100 off here, right? So my max share size is 400. Now when I took the 100 here, I ate half of the loss already on 200 shares, which is okay because you're taking a loss on 100 shares, right? But when I added 300 shares. So the 200 shares I otherwise would have added, plus 100 shares that I took, right? So the reason why that is this would now, you only holding 100 shares from this average, or somewhere here, because what first entry, second add, my average was somewhere down here, with 100 shares now. When you really add 300-400 shares on top, it would really pull it up to there, right? So the mistake that I made here, not a mistake, but whatever I was doing today, right? is that I've done a really good job at spotting the backside, because that candle right there, that crack, that was the turning point to the backside, as you guys can see. Literally, the peak, and I added right there, was perfect. If I was wrong about the ad, now I'm sitting in with 400 shares. If this comes up here, I would have cut it. I would have cut half or whatever I added. So if I added 300 shares, I would have taken the 300 shares off right there. What it means is, if you're wrong about the backside, you would only lose on the shares that you added, the 300 shares, you would only lose a small amount, right? You would only lose a small amount. So, 300 shares would have lost only a very small amount. And then if it goes, you're recycling the shares, you're rotating the shares. The reason why you're doing that is because this would prevent you from blindly just adding. So you're not doubling up. You're not going 200 shares and then 400 shares and then you have to add 800 shares. What you're doing is pretty, it's a better way of doing it. You eat half of the loss and then you really add. So when I did that, on the second one, my average was at 39.30 bucks. 39.30 was my average. So 39.30, it brought it all the way up here. That was my average, right there, right? So that was the ad. That was my average right there. What happened is this thing washed out all the way to 37.40. I mean, it gave me a $2 per share profit on this thing, and I was in 400 shares. So that should have been an $800 profit. The reason why I would have picked this level is because this is where it held. Right, so I would have had definitely a take right there. If I didn't take it into this drop, I wouldn't touch this because the risk would have been above the highs, remember guys? And then I probably would have taken it to this. But I generally would take this. So whatever close to the VWAP, this kind of support level, I would definitely generally take some. So 800 bucks, but how much did I make on it? 100 bucks. I made $100 on an where it should have been an $800 profit trade. So I left a lot of money on this one. The next one that I traded, now my mind is blowing. But at the same time, I was doing other projects on YouTube and stuff like that. The last one that I traded was PRPH. PRPH, same thing. So this one I had an early starter right there, 300 shares. I wanted to go up to 1,000 to more, 2,000 shares. But had a starter there. I added into that. I should have added that, but it didn't. I didn't. It was pretty quick. It rejected. So I took. So my average was at 10 bucks. $10 was my average right here. $10 was my average. Now I'm in 600 shares with $10 average, right? $10 average. Now this thing drops here to the 50. I took 300 off. Now I'm only holding 300. Generally, what I would do is when this pops again, I'll re-add it back here because my risk now I've already locked in half of the profits. Now I'm adding back the shares. My risk level still remains the same, the high. But in this particular case, if had it come up to that, I should have been adding, not taking, because my final size would have been 1,000 to 2,000 shares was 1,200, 2,000 shares was what I had in mind. So 600 shares I wouldn't start recycling yet, right? And the fact that it was pretty low volume and this major candle rejection, that was the backside. Rather than adding into that, what did I do? I took and I completely got it right there. Right? My 600 shares I had with a 10 average, this thing came to $8.60. So this right here was another $800 trade. $800 trade. What did I do? Completely missed it. Completely blew this one as well. So I left a lot of money on the table. So, but I mean, still I'm up $700. But I mean, I should have been a lot more up. So the mistakes that I made, I traded a bunch of shit that I shouldn't have touched. And I didn't hold where I generally would hold. So this is a key lesson for you guys. What you want to do is set your risk levels, put your feet up on the table, open a movie, go online shopping, do whatever you have to do. But do not react unless those key levels are touched, right? So that's the lesson. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I know this is a little bit long, but I feel like there's good lessons from it, from me especially. I hope you guys will pick something from it as well. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. I live in Australia and I actually trade at night, so I have to stay up at night, and I record the whole trading session, and the next day I have to sit back and edit. When people go to bed or start going to work, the normal people here, I generally start editing the video. So I'm trying to put in a lot of effort, and if you want to show me a little bit of support to the effort that I'm trying to put in, please like, subscribe, and make sure you comment, right? And the other thing is I do have free chat room on Discord that myself and other great traders as well, a lot of long traders and short traders that are making decent amount of money. We all put in the trading ideas and talk about stocks and what are we looking at. And in real time, I myself will be updating what I'm trading, what my entry levels are, the levels I'll be looking at, and what I'm doing. So I'll put the Discord link down below if you want to pop into the chat room, talk to us. It's free. Come and say hello, and we'll trade together. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Appreciate it. Enjoy the live trading session. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the live trading part of this video. As you guys can see, market just opened and I am up already $30 for the day. I made that $30 on ZDGE. If I'm not mistaken, it was a quick short for a small profit out of the gate. Now I'm looking at this stock, DOGZ. I'm waiting for its short tail restricted, so I don't want to have an early starter or anything like that for this. I want my levels, and my levels are, as you guys can see, this pre-market high, the $3 area. I know chart rooms are pushing it all the way up to there, so I will have a starter when it comes to near my risk level. And also, I just have a starter at 300 shares, but I will be able to add. And also, on a yearly chart, if you guys look at this particular stock, it was just littled with resistant levels on a yearly chart between $3 and $3.50, $3.60. That whole area is just resistant levels. A lot of bag holders there. So I'm thinking if it goes higher, I really want to size into this as it's going higher up to that. So now I'm looking at weaknesses. I'm seeing this thing. It's not really ripping through the pre-market high and going higher. I'm seeing a bit of weakness. It almost halted and it faked out, from the hold. So that's one of the things that I was looking at as well. So now I'm in 600 shares. I do want to add into this if it gives me higher. I don't want to be adding here though. So my ads would be if it goes higher to that. I wanted that 340, 350 area is what I have in mind. But as you guys can see, it's already dropping from here, rejecting a little bit. Which is good because that's stress-free. It's rejecting the first area that you thought it could possibly reject. I'm just gonna fast forward here. It's dropping harder here. So I'm thinking about I want to take a little bit here before that VWAP bounce. If it decides, because this is still the pre-market high area. You see how it bounced that VWAP area? So that cover that I did right at the bottom, I just skipped. That's why the chart went higher. So that cover area, now as you guys can see, I'm only holding 300 shares. That cover area was really good because I was expecting a VWAP from that, a VWAP bounce from that area where I just covered. Now it's really giving me the area that I'm looking for, that 350, 340 area. I just added, I'm back on 600 shares. Now I'm holding, it's rejecting that area. I'm just gonna fast forward here. So it's dropping a little bit further down. I'm in the money. So I'm still holding. I'm still looking at those. I'm still, aware that this still could be the front side. So I want to cover into dips. You see the levels that I'm looking at right now is that view up area. So I'm trying to put in numbers to kind of potentially cover from that. So I'm trying to cover around here a little bit, if it gives me. Now, if this bounce goes higher, I would have been worried, but the fact that it was weak, I took off my cover. So I'm looking lowers now. Boom, I took half there. I'm waiting for it to drop a little bit further. Now with this particular stock, it looks like a clear rejection. I should have held longer. I should have sized in, had 1,200 shares in case. That was in case if it goes, 350 or whatever. But I didn't really size in, so I didn't trade it properly. I should have sized in and stayed patient. I covered everything, and now I got back in again because it looked weak. So I'm back in at 300 shares now. On that drop below the VWAP right there, I covered everything. Now this is a new position. So I'm waiting for this, and I'm trying to take it for a very small profit. As you can see, that means I wasn't really comfortable. I was nervous. Now I'm looking at this KXIN. This was a manipulated runner, I think 2 days ago, and it had a lot of volume on that day. So I want to short it using that as a risk. So I just had a starter here. I'm holding 600 shares. I added here, and I'm in 600 shares. I'm aware that chat rooms are trying to push this thing higher and higher, but that's fine because I know there's a lot of resistance, volume resistance at the highs, so we'll get slammed into that. Just staying patient here. I'm not panicking. If it goes higher, I don't have a problem with that. As you guys can see, I just located more in case if it goes higher. I'm just going to skip forward. Now it cracked, but I didn't get to really size in. I took some off. Again, this is a mistake taking here off. So I don't know why, but today I kept taking profits very, very quick. This ended up giving me almost a $2 per share profit. But as you guys can see, I am short in the tops, which is correct thing to do. But I'm also covering just below the top, right? I should be looking for a bigger move, a bigger range into this. And I'm only holding 150 shares. At this time, I should still be holding 1,200 shares, but I'm only holding 150 shares. So, you know, from 650, it's not bad. I am up $350 on a day. Just gonna skip forward, fast forward here. Still looking weak. I mean, this is a perfect short. I should be adding into this because this is all weakness. All of the bag holders from 2 days ago, they're just, you know, dumping it. And I know short sellers hitting with the strength as well. Now, as you guys can see, I'm only holding 75 shares, which is pretty much laughable at this point because it's looking weak. I should be adding. I should be sizing in. Gonna skip fast forward here. I'm completely all out. This thing ended up going to that, you know, 480, 450 area. It went all the way, dropped all the way there. So definitely I did the wrong thing here. I'm looking at weakness all around the chart, but I wasn't holding. Just gonna fast forward here a little bit. Popped again, so I'm looking to, thinking about re-entering here if it gives me a decent pop. So I'm backing again, but as you guys can see, chicken size, 100 shares. I have no idea why I'm a little bit nervous today, and I'm trying to cover the bottom here. So completely, I did not, though I'm green, I'm up almost 400 bucks on the day. You know, I'm not trading properly here because I'm taking profits way too soon. Alright, I'm just gonna fast forward here, skip into the next stock that I traded. Now this thing dropped, it was at $60 at some point, and then it dropped from $60 all the way to $4, and it opened at $4, and I bought it, and it went into an upside hold at 520. Right, so I'm holding this 300 shares. Now I'm thinking, you know, either it could push higher, or it might actually get slammed down into a downside hold from here. Because, you know, some of the longs, they might panic trying to exit out of their position. But generally, I'm thinking, you know, it's a long play here. But quickly got out for a small profit, and this is what the chart looks like. As you guys can see, it's in a downside hold, so I got out very quick. But I should have got back in again, I think, because I'm anticipating this. You know, if you're a short seller from, you know, the 40 area, you would want to cover, right? But also, if you're a long trader, I mean, some people would panic and exit, but some people might start, you know, adding in more to try to push this as high as possible, maybe to the $10 plus, so that way they could, you know, cover. That's just my thing. But now it went all the way, as you guys can see, it went all the way to $8. I'm thinking this is the backside, so I shorted it here. So as you guys can see, the first entry here was at $4. I did a little bit of long there. Now the backside. But here, where I'm thinking it's at the backside, it's actually incorrect. I mean, it looked like the backside to me, but I'm losing money on it. As you guys can see, I'm losing $100 on it. 120 bucks. So I covered half here. I'm holding a little bit more, 150 shares. now I'm thinking about cutting it all off, because if this shows any strength, then it could, potentially go back to the highs. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm pretty sure I'm about to cover this, but thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. It would help me, grow the channel, put out more educational content for you guys. So please like and subscribe. And also, there's a link for a free chat on Discord down below. Make sure you come into the chat and talk to me and talk to some of the other boys as well. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'm about to completely exit out of this position. As you guys can see, I'm up about $460 on the day, but this is only halfway through the day, so we'll see how the rest of the day goes. But I wanted to put out the videos early on, before market close, so you guys would be able to watch it. Alright, I'm completely out, and I'm up $448 on a day. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.